Good afternoon, students. In the last 3 classes, I dealt with pronouns, and in the last class, after 2 classes of explanations with regard to pronouns, I gave you some paragraphs and explained also. Hope that you have gone through the same. Now, today, let me go through sunny morning. A sunny morning is the title, and think of how does one act to play make us understand the sometimes political, social issues anyway. But last year also, when we dealt with the one act to plays, I told you what are the differences between one act plays and classical plays. This year, once again, the recollection of the same. Now look at the points. Earlier, classical plays were available, and the classical plays, in the sense there were 5 acts with different scenes, sometimes 6 to 12 scenes available. But acts are only 5 acts with different scenes in all classical plays. If you think of Shakespearean dramas or Christopher Marlowe's dramas or Russell's dramas, you can understand the same point. Second point is that more than a dozen characters available in all classical plays. Third point is usually 2 hours minimum, sometimes 3 hours, anyway 2 to 3 hours the time duration to stage the play. If you want to enact it on the stage, you require minimum 2 hours. Fourth point, in all classical plays, main plot and subplot, 2 different plots, and dramatist, the playwright, has to have a skill to interweave these 2 plots, and they have to have a close relationship. Fifth point, tragic elements available in some of the classical plays, comic elements available, tragi-comic or tragedy mixed with the comedy, and historical plays. Especially in Shakespearean dramas, you can get all the 4 items. And sixth point, costumes are required. Without stage paraphernalia, stage setup and all the paraphernalia and the costumes, so it is very difficult to stage that classical play, particularly if you think of. Now, one act plays, they have been emerged, or this one act play concept that emerged in the beginning of the 20th century, and most of the one act plays have been emerged with the day-to-day common problems or issues. Whatever is commonly available, maybe a child is not taken care of by the parents properly, and that thereby a caretaker is required, or old people, mother and father, parents, they are not looked after properly and somebody is required to take care of them, or some health problems, diseases available in the society, and those have to be portrayed to the common people. And such social problems or day-to-day issues, common problems, they are taken care of, they are depicted in one act plays. Whereas in the classical play, as I have told you, tragic-comic, tragi-comic or historic. Now, as the title is available, one act play, it has only one act. Scenes, sometimes 2 scenes available, but usually most of the times 1 scene, but 1 act it is certainly, no doubt about it. Characters, 2 to 4 characters, not many. And if you want to stage out, if you want to depict, if you want to enact it on the stage, 10 to 15 minutes maximum. Then 1 plot available. There are no main plots and subplots like that in classical plays available, but in one act plays, 1 plot. And costumes, very costly, paraphernalia or very costly items are not required, very common items. So costumes are less there, whereas classical plays costumes are more, and enough expenditure is required there. So these are the main differences between the two, and these you have to consider, because the present students should also know that there was a concept called classical play, and this one act play emerged in the beginning of the 20th century, and basically because of the reason that society, the people are not ready to sit in a theater, and that too for 2 to 3 hours they are not ready, and that is why the main concept has come into existence, and this one act play emerged, and many characters people are not ready to remember, and how to depict or how to portray social issues, some common problems for which one act plays are required, and that is why Harold Pinter is actually the very forerunner of these one act plays, and after that several writers have written, and now you have got this year, last year you had Watchman of the Lake by Indo-Anglian writer R.K. Narayan, and this year you have Spanish writers, that is Serafin and Joaquin Alvarez Quinter brothers. They have written several plays, and their drama A Sunny Morning available. And usually with regard to drama, when we think of, the title is very important, especially in the classical plays. For example, if you think of Macbeth, Macbeth is the protagonist, and why is it given the title Macbeth or Othello or Tempest or Comedy of Errors or Merchant of Venice, Julius and Julius Caesar, etc., etc. There are 37 plays that are available with regard to Shakespeare I am speaking of, and here when you think of the title A Sunny Morning, that is also important, because sometimes in the examination such questions, so how does the title play an important role, or how is it depicted in the drama, that question has been asked. A sunny morning, it is given there. Sunny, you know, very cheerful, happy morning, cheerful, happy, etc. the meaning. Now pre-reading activity is available. How does it feel to meet a friend after a long time? You think of such pre-reading questions are always right from first PUC till the end of second PUC, in all the lessons or poems, whatever the one act plays you read, there you get pre-reading questions or mind-boggling exercises are available. Why? Because you have to have such thoughts, because literature in the sense it is an expression of life, and expression of life in the sense you may have or you will have or you must have some ideas with regard to this, that you have a friend or you had a friend somewhere in the first primary class, after that you did not meet, and then suddenly when you have joined first PUC you have met the same person. What are the feelings that you have? So usually what that goes on in our life, that is depicted in one act plays, and here also such a question has been given. How does it feel to meet a friend after a very long time, and what are your feelings, and what do you discuss, and what do you remember which you did in the past with the same friend or in the primary class, etc. One example I have given here, some other matters are available. Why do some friendships come to an end and some friendships do not continue, and they stop somewhere, and then you forget, you don't remember, though you remember you do not recollect because that person is not available with you or that friend is not available with you, and that could be the reason that you forget, or it goes to the background of your memory. So these two questions have been given, that if you meet after a long gap, what are your feelings, and why do some of the friendships come to an end? These two things are available to be discussed with, and probably these two questions have been given because these two things have to be thought of with regard to this particular one act play. And characters: Donna Laura, Petra her maid, Don Gonzalo, Jonito or Jonito, Jonito is usually the pronunciation, his servant. So two characters, Laura and Gonzalo. Laura is female, Gonzalo is male, and their servants. Laura has the servant, her maid Petra, and Gonzalo has the servant Jonito. And these four characters, two main characters and their helpers, these four characters are available. And where does the scene take place? Scene: a sunny morning in a retired corner of a park in Madrid. So it is a very happy, cheerful morning in a retired corner of a park in Madrid. So the corner of a park, in the sense, usually people don't go there, because usually in a park, the busy area, in the sense where there are people available, where there are some fresh scenes available, or some objects available, some special items available, where people group together. But in a very corner, in a very place where nothing is available except benches and lawn available, where people simply sit for the sake of idling their time away, or else to enjoy the pleasant atmosphere that is available there. And that is why, think of this condition, that is, it is the place, it is in a corner of a park, retired corner of a park, where human beings are not many, in Madrid. Season is autumn. Autumn season, in the sense September, October, November usually. And about seasons, last year also you had the poem Schoolboy, and there also spring season, about which descriptions were available. And this is autumn, September, October, November in the Western Hemisphere. A bench at right. Then Laura, a handsome, white-haired old lady of about 70, refined in appearance, her bright eyes and entire manner giving evidence that despite her age, her mental faculties are unimpaired, enters leaning upon the arm of her maid Petra. In her free hand she carries a parasol which serves also as a cane. So think of the condition there. There enters a person, and usually what we say with regard to woman or women, beautiful, and boys or gents, in the sense handsome. Now look at the expression here available. That is, Laura, a handsome, white-haired old lady of about 70. So 70, in the sense, old people, and they are not very active. They are always thinking of probably yoga, dhyana, etc. But this is Western Hemisphere, and they want to enjoy leisurely and without any problems in their lives. Refined in appearance, but these people, refined in appearance, reason they want to hide their originality, and they want to be energized, and that is why refined in appearance, her bright eyes and entire manner giving evidence that despite her age, her mental faculties are unimpaired. So some people, their mental faculties, their memory power, that does not get affected. Instead, that is still powerful, and this is unimpaired, they have said. It is not affected by age. She still has the good memory. Enters leaning upon the arm of her maid, but physically she is not very healthy, because enters leaning upon the arm of her maid. She seeks the support of the maid, that is Petra. In her free hand she carries a parasol, and the other hand that is free, there is an umbrella, parasol, which serves also as a cane, and that is a big umbrella, in the sense long if it is available, it helps for many other activities as well. Also as a cane, it serves as a stick. Now Laura, I am so glad to be here. I feared my seat would be occupied. What a beautiful morning. So she says, I am quite happy here to be in this park. I feared my seat would be occupied. Usually these are the thoughts that are available with some people, that every day they come to the park, and every day sit on a particular bench, or every day they sit in a particular place, and the next day would something else take place, is a thought that usually some people have, whether the seat would be occupied by somebody, whether that seat will be vacant or something else will take place there or would take place there. These are the thoughts usually some people have. And in the same manner, Laura, I feared means I am afraid my seat would be occupied, but it did not take place. What a beautiful morning, as I have already told you, very happy, lovely, beautiful morning. The sun is hot. Yes, you are only 20. She sits down on the bench and she tells her servant Petra, you are only 20, and her feelings are different, her thoughts are different, Petra's thoughts are different, and that is why Laura tells her, you are only 20. We have to understand that her thoughts are different, her feelings are different, and she may think of something else, and she cannot think of what the old woman, I mean Laura, thinks of. She sits down on the bench. Laura sits down on the bench. Oh, I feel more tired today than usual. Today she feels a bit tired, she has said. Noticing Petra, she looks at Petra, who seems impatient. She is not patient enough to listen to what Laura speaks of or what Laura tells her. Go, if you wish to chat with your guard. And immediately she becomes impatient. Noticing Petra, who seems impatient. Petra is impatient, and that is, she is not in a position to tolerate what Laura thinks of, Laura tells her, etc. And that is why, that is understood by Laura that Petra is impatient. That is why Laura tells her, go if you wish to chat with your guard. With your guard in the sense the guard available there, because daily Laura comes there along with the Petra, and Petra daily talks with that guard, and that is why ultimately it has become with your guard, just as we tell with some students sometimes that go and talk with your relatives, go and talk with your friends, because they frequently do that. They are frequently associated with their classmates or group mates, etc. And that is why such expressions have come there. Petra, he is not mine. Senora, he belongs to the park. So immediately Petra has said, he is not mine. He is not my guard, because he is the guard of that park. He is not mine. Senora, Senora means senior. He belongs to the park. He is working there. He looks after the park. He is there to take care of the park. He is not mine. He belongs to the park. Petra said. Then Laura, he belongs more to you than he does to the park. Go find him, but remain within calling distance. But Laura is not ready to listen to what Petra speaks of or Petra tells her. Instead, she tells her once again that you have been talking with the guard, continuously you are doing that conversation, and that is why this time also she is not ready to agree with what Petra has said. He belongs more to you than he does to the park. I have understood that he is more attached to Petra than to the park is the thought of Laura. He does to the park. Go find him. Just find him, find the guard where he is available. Where is he? But remain with the calling distance, because she is an old lady. As and when she wants to call her with the signs, with the symbols, that is Petra, has to be seen by Laura. And that is why just be there, but remain within calling distance. If I call you, you have to listen, and you have to come back, and you have to help me. This is the thought of Laura. Petra, I see him over there waiting for me. So immediately her statement, in which we can understand that guard is waiting for Petra, and Petra is attached to the guard. Guard is attached to Petra. This we can understand in this particular statement. I see him over there waiting for me. Do not remain more than 10 minutes. Another warning, again another warning has been given by Laura. Do not remain more than 10 minutes. Time restriction has been given. It has been imposed. Very well, Senora. Petra agreed for that. Walks toward the right side. Wherever in brackets the thoughts, the expressions are given, this is for the reader to understand. Some students do not take into consideration these things and they go wrong in understanding. And that is why remember that these are very, very important. Whatever is given in parenthesis, in brackets, those also should be understood by students. And again, one more point that you have to understand when you come to sunny morning, a sunny morning, is that most of the times reported speech questions, I don't say that all the time, most of the times reported speech comes from this particular one act play, this particular drama, and that is why you have to give more attention. Otherwise, what happens is that if you don't understand the context and the tense, you are not able to write the reported speech, and if you are not able to write the reported speech, what happens is that you lose 5 marks. And that is why give importance to this drama, not only from the point of one act play and writing answers to the questions, one word questions or paragraph questions or 6-mark questions, provided you have to understand, and then reported speech, if it is available, there also once again you have to give extra attention. Without understanding the context, it becomes difficult. Very well, Senora walks toward right, I have said just now. She goes to the right side. Immediately Laura tells Petra, wait a moment. What does the Senora wish? Immediately Petra asks, what do you wish? What do you want? What that I have to do? Petra has asked that question. Give me the breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs in the sense bread pieces. I don't know what is the matter with me. Immediately Petra tells, I don't know what is the matter with me. Means I don't know what happens to me. Something goes on in her mind, in her feelings, and some feelings are upcoming feelings, and some thoughts are there, and that is why she has said, I don't know what is the matter with me. Then Laura smiles, smiling. I do means I do know. So in this context, in one of the examinations, reported speech has come. So I do in the sense, the meaning, I do know. I have known it. Your head is where your heart is, with the guard. As she has already put forward, I know that your head has already reached with the guard or reached to the guard, and you are physically present in front of me. This happens to us sometimes. For example, last period class, let us think that it is English class. And some students, what they think is that it is now this time, for example, now of course rain has subsided, but very cloudy season, very clouds appeared, and it is going to rain, torrential rain, and I have to reach 15 kilometers away from this college to the house. If something happens, what can be done? So such thoughts come to our mind. And immediately what happens? Physically we are present here, but mentally our mind has gone deep into the house, and then what happens? What that the teacher tells goes through the window, through air, and that is why we don't understand anything. This happens sometimes. It is not something very big or very dangerous issue as such. So that is why Laura has said, your head is where your heart is. So our head is there. We are physically present there, but our feelings are with somebody. Feelings are at home, as I have given you the example. With the guard, she has said. Already she has said that, and she once again illustrates and confirms that matter. Petra, here what? Breadcrumbs. Here, Senora, breadcrumbs are available. She hands Laura a small bag. Exit Petra by right. So already she has been given the permission, and that is why she is ready to go and talk with the guard, and that is why she has given the small bag to Laura, and the exit, she goes away from there by the right side. Adieu, farewell, means for that time, beginning, as we tell hello, good morning in the morning we tell, and in the evening, bye, we tell. So in the same manner, adieu. Glances toward trees at right. So Laura, God be with you. That is departure. Departure not for completely, permanently. Instead, it is just that Petra is going towards the guard, and that is why adieu. That is, she is going away from there, and that is why Laura has said adieu. Glances toward trees at right. So she just glances, sudden look towards the right side, and the tree is available there. Trees are full of birds, and this she has observed toward trees at right. These are the activities daily she is doing there. Daily she is coming there, and she observes all the place and the entire place. She observes the very tree and the birds that are available there. And then next activity, here they come. They in the sense pigeons are available. Next page the description is available. Hoping that you have the text with you, you read thoroughly after the lesson, so that you will understand along with these YouTube lessons. Here they come, they reference to pigeons, and in this context this is very much important. As I have said, unfortunately or fortunately, if this comes for the indirect speech, you must know what is they. They in the sense not the people of the park, they in the sense not the dramatis personae, the characters of the drama. Instead, they in the sense pigeons. They come, they know just when to expect me. So those pigeons know when to expect me. When do they get things to be things to them for the sake of eating? When do they get items from Laura to relish, to eat, to chew? So to expect me, she rises. Who rises? Laura rises, walks toward right, and throws 3 handfuls of bread crumbs. She throws 3 handfuls of the full, yes, handfuls of bread crumbs. She throws away their bread pieces. And then she has this imagination, and she tells, these are for the spryest. First throwing handfuls of bread pieces. These are for the spryest. Spryest means lively, very beautiful. First handfuls of breadcrumbs she has thrown away. These for the gluttons, and these for little ones which are the most persistent. So second time she throws, and to whom? That is, these for the gluttons. Gluttons in the sense the creatures, human beings, it may be sometimes. Here the pigeons, these for the gluttons. Gluttons in the sense they eat too much, and we say tindi baka sometimes, like that. They eat too much. They haven't seen such a thing so far, is the thought available there. And these for little ones, these for the gluttons, and these for the little ones which are the most persistent. So these are for the spryest, lively birds, first time, then for the gluttons, and then for the little ones which are the most persistent. Persistent in the sense they are frequently coming and asking whether some more bread pieces are available. They keep on asking. That is the appearance. Laughs herself. She returns to her seat and watches. So she has thrown 3 times the bread pieces, and then she comes back. She sits there on the bench, watches with a pleased expression. She is quite happy, because most of the times we have the feeling creatures are better than human beings. And these are the thoughts in literature available, and this is why probably she also speaks of. And let us see what happens in this drama, and which I haven't drawn a flow chart or a bar graph, etc., line chart, etc. I haven't drawn on the blackboard, because if I have already told you, then of course the very drama does not get its importance, and that is why I haven't said so far. She returns to her seat and watches with a pleased expression, happy expression, the pigeons feeding. She has fed the pigeons. Feed, fed, fed. The 3 forms of the verb feed. There. That big one is always first. So among the pigeons there is a big pigeon, and that always comes first and takes or catches breadcrumbs, pieces. I know him by his big head. So she has been observing people usually who go on jogging or who go on walking in the morning, etc., or in the evening. They have their own groups, and even we, when we come to the college or go back from the college, we have our own groups, and we usually think of the people, and if we do not know the name, sometimes we say that that person, this person, with some identification marks. So in the same manner, that big one is always first. I know him by this, his big head. Now one, now another, now two, now three. That little fellow is the least timid. So pigeons one after the other, 1, 2, 3, like that they are coming, and they are picking the pieces of bread, and then that little fellow is the least timid. There is a small one, least timid, cowardice. It is not afraid of anybody, least timid. I believe he would eat from my hand. It is not afraid of anybody, and even if you keep, even if Laura keeps bread pieces on her palm, it is ready to come and pick it or pick the pieces. I believe he would eat from my hand. That one takes his piece and flies up to that branch alone. Another one. He is a philosopher. So think of the identification, that there is a bird, looks like a philosopher, thinks deeply, and there are some thoughts going on. But where do they all come from? That is the thought now Laura has. Where do they all come from? Where are these birds? When Laura is not present there, where are these birds available? And where do they reside? These are the thoughts Laura has. It seems as if the news had spread. Don't quarrel. There is enough for all. I'll bring more tomorrow. And if they quarrel, the pigeons, for the sake of food, don't quarrel. Tomorrow I'll bring more, many. And please don't quarrel. I can understand that you have the very habit of eating and you relish these bread pieces, and that is why tomorrow I bring more, she says. She tells herself because Petra is not there. Enter Don Gonzalo and Juanito from left side. Don Gonzalo is an old gentleman of 70, gouty and impatient. He leans upon Juanito's arm and drags his feet somewhat as he walks. Then comes another fellow. Now Laura is there. Petra has gone near the guard. Now Gonzalo comes there, and Gonzalo is the the male character, and Juanito, his helper, his servant from left. And remember that maid in the sense female, and servant for the male that they have said. From left, Gonzalo is an old gentleman of 70. He is also past old gentleman of 70 or past 70. Here old gentleman of 70. Gouty in the sense he has pain in his joints. So joints are swelling and there are pain available. There is pain available. Gouty and impatient. He leans upon Juanito's arm and drags his feet somewhat as he walks. So that person, he is not able to walk without the help of Juanito, and drags his feet somewhat as he walks, because as already I have given the explanation, gouty in the sense joint pains are available, painful swellings in joints, and that is why he drags his feet. Now Gonzalo has the character, what is it? Impatient. And that is why this is very important to us to remember. Idling their time away, they should be saying mass. And he comes and then observes the place, and he sees the bench, and idling their times away, their reference to priests. Idling, simply making a waste of one's time. Their times away, they should be saying mass. So there are priests sitting on the bench, and they are wasting their time, is the thought that, or this is the comment that has been made by Gonzalo. They should be saying mass. Probably they are praying there. Juanito, you can sit here, Senor. There is only a lady Parenthesis, Laura turns her head and listens. Janito wants to soothe the disturbed feelings of Gonzalo, and that is why Janito tells, you can sit here, Senor. Here you have got the very bench. This bench is empty, vacant. You can sit here. There is only a lady. Lady is there on the bench on the other side, but the other part is vacant. The other side is vacant. Laura turns her head and listens, and this of course is what that Janito has said, that has been heard by Laura, and she just observes. Laura turns her head and listens to what Janito has said. Gonzalo, I won't. Janito, I want a bench to myself. So the expression impatient in the sense, I won't. Why? Because he is not ready to sit on the bench where Laura has already sat. I want a bench to myself. I want a bench to myself in the sense, one bench which must be vacant and there should not be any other person, and that is why he has said, I want a bench to myself. But there is none. That one over there is mine. So Janito has said then, but there is none, there is nobody on this side. Gonzalo immediately tells, that one over there is mine. Now look at the expression of Laura also. Laura also had the thought when she has entered today the park, she also had the thought earlier that whether her bench would be occupied by somebody. And this is an impatient feeling that she also had, but fortunately nothing had happened there, or today nothing has happened. And Gonzalo, anyway he is impatient, his characteristic feature is such, his feelings are such, and now what has happened? Usually he comes, every day he comes there, and he sits on the bench, but this time, today, what has happened? 3 priests have been sitting there. That is why that one over there is mine. Even if Janito has given him the thought that you can sit here, the place is vacant, he is not ready for that. Instead, that one over there is mine. That bench is mine, because daily he comes there and he sits on that bench. There are 3 priests sitting there, Janito has said. That bench is not vacant, priests are sitting there. Gonzalo becomes impatient. Rout them out, he tells. Have they gone? So rout them out, rout them out in the sense, get them out. They have to be told by Janito to go away from there. Have they gone? Once again Gonzalo asks the question to Janito. No, indeed. They are talking. They are discussing something. Gonzalo, just as if they were glued to the seat. Look at the impatience of Gonzalo once again. That is just in the sense, the time when Gonzalo has entered the park, in the manner how, in the way that those 3 priests have sat, in the same manner they are available even now after 10 minutes or after some moments. As if they were glued. Glued means they were stuck. They were fixed to the seat. No hope of their leaving. They are not going to leave from there. Come this way, Janito. Gonzalo calls Janito, come this way. They walk toward the bird's right, and from there they have started towards the place where birds are picking, eating the breadcrumbs, the bread pieces. Right side. Laura immediately, she got angry indignantly. Look out, she said. Watch. Don't disturb the birds. These are the feelings that Laura had. So now we can understand that at the beginning, immediately when they have entered, both had the same feelings, but the difference is that Laura has got the bench vacant, Gonzalo hasn't got it vacant, the bench. Instead, priests were there. Laura enjoyed the very morning because as she enters nobody was there and she was quite happy, and then of course she started throwing bread pieces and the birds enjoyed and she also enjoyed, and she told the birds that she would bring more crumbs tomorrow and she is quite happy. Whereas Gonzalo is not quite happy. He has lost his temper. He has lost his feelings, good feelings, and then of course he started moving towards the place where the pigeons are eating or picking and eating the breadcrumbs pieces. And then what happens? Gonzalo, are you speaking to me, Senora? Because the previous statement, look out, watch, observe the place, be guarded, be protected. The place should be protected because the pigeons are eating the crumbs. And that is why Gonzalo has said, are you speaking to me? Are you talking to me? Gonzalo asked Laura. They are not known each other. They haven't known each other, and there is no identification as such, and newly for the first time they have seen Laura. Yes, to you. Gonzalo, what do you wish? What is your intention? Laura, you have scared away the birds who were feeding on my crumbs. You have disturbed the birds. You have scared away the birds who were feeding on my crumbs. You have disturbed the birds, and they were enjoying, actually they were eating the bread pieces and enjoying, and even I too get enjoyed, or I am getting some happiness, deriving happiness out of it, and that is why you please don't disturb is the thought. Gonzalo, what do I care about the birds? Why should I care for the birds? I have nothing to do with them, is the thought that Gonzalo. And these thoughts sometimes even we too have, that if something goes on there, for example classes are going on, and if the other class is free, students straight away start going on the corridor, they start moving, and they don't think the other class gets disturbed. What should I do? I have to go to the wash basin, or I have to go to the library, etc. These are the thoughts. We never think of it. Sometimes we think of it, but inevitable circumstance. What do I care about the birds? But Laura tells Gonzalo, but I do. I do means I care for the birds. Gonzalo tells immediately, Laura, this is a public park, and here such restrictions are not available, and we have to understand that in a public place we cannot make comments, we cannot tell other persons about the rules and regulations, because we have to think of what that goes on there. This is a public park. Laura, then why do you complain that the priests have taken your bench? So immediately, this is a public park. When Gonzalo has said, Laura immediately puts forward a retort. He is available there. Then why do you complain that the priests have taken your bench? So this is about the, so these thoughts we have to interweave. We have to connect these thoughts, that what does Gonzalo say, or what he has said to Laura, what Laura has said to Gonzalo, these things that we have to remember. So in a public place we cannot complain. Why do you complain that the priests have taken your bench? And even priests have taken the bench, which Gonzalo has to accept. So let us stop here and let us continue in the next class. Thank you one and all.